Hey everyone. So the next 40 days will probably be the most candid, most honest 40 days of my life. I'm embarking on a 40-day fast to deal with some life issues that have been rooted in my life for the last 27 years, and to really be able to get the beautiful ashes that I believe God has for me. First of all, I just want to thank God for even bringing me to this point of my life. So a little bit about my fast and what I'll be doing. I will be fasting for 40 days and praying as well. And I'll kind of upload videos once a day, or maybe even more than once a day, to kind of go in depth of what I will be doing. But today, one of the things that I heard the Lord tell me in prayer was to lay down your flesh so that your spirit can rise. And I was like, what does that mean? I didn't really understand what that means. If you have papers, because I take notes in my prayer time. And my goal is to hopefully help someone out there, someone who is not brave enough to put themselves out there because they're in shame or they're in fear or just for whatever. But I'm hoping to be a voice to the voiceless. So as I was going through that, the Lord led me to Galatians 5 verses 13 through 15, and then 19 and through 21. So 13 to 15 talks about how we were called to be free, and you can only love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so it begins with loving yourself. And so this is really what this journey is about. And then 19 through 21 talks about the fruits of the flesh, or the acts of the flesh. So as I was going through for day one, God was telling me to lay down my flesh and allow my spirit to rise. And I was like, what does that mean? And so usually when I don't understand something, I will go into more prayer and meditation, and that's the scripture that God led me to. What he told me to do was to go ahead and list all of the acts of the flesh. So that includes sexual immorality, impurities, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, rage, selfish ambition, decisions, factions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. And so what God instructed me to do was to go through each one of these things, because these things have been planted in my life one way or another. And in order to uproot something, you have to be able to identify that thing and also identify the spirit. So for today, he had me focusing on sexual immorality. Amen, Auntie. So sexual immorality is a very sensitive subject for me. But I believe that in our testimony, there is power for deliverance, there is healing, there is help for others too who have been a victim and even now a survivor of sexual immorality. So as I began to talk to God about this, one of the things I like to do is to study my word. So I like to also use the Webster Dictionary to look up the meaning of words, because we may understand, but I find that when you look at the definition of things in the dictionary, it gives you more revelation than what you could ever think about. So what is immorality? So the definition of immorality is the quality or state of being immoral, especially unchaste. So I was like, well, let me look up immoral. And immoral means not moral, conflicting. Okay, keep that word in your spirit, conflicting with a generally held tradition or a moral principle. So when I heard the word conflicting, I immediately jumped back to the scripture, and I had to get up and get my Bible. I apologize. I immediately jumped back into my scripture. And one of the things that really resonated with me is, if you look at Galatians 5:17, it says, for the flesh desires what is contrary to the spirit, and the spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other. So you are not to do whatever you want. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. So this is a battle. So I am in the middle of a battle in the wilderness of fighting the flesh part of me and strengthening my spirit. And so I understood when God said, lay down your flesh, I have to take away that old man. I have to allow that shaft that no longer serves me any purpose to be blown in the wind. Now, if you're not familiar with agriculture, shaft is the part that covers the wheat grain, the edible part of it. The shaft does serve a purpose for a certain time until it gets into maturement. So this shaft is a protection of the edible grain until it gets mature. The problem with most of us, and even myself, is that once we get to a certain point in our lives, we don't allow that shaft or those bad habits or those bad minds or those things to be blown away. We want to be mature in God, but we also want to hold on to things that we know we have no business holding on to. And I speak unto myself as well. We don't want to let things go so that we can be that pure edible seed that we are meant to be in this world, so that we can be fruitful. Because if a seed still has a shaft on it, guess what? It cannot be fruitful. You have to take that shaft off so that you can be planted, so that you can absorb the nutrients, so you can absorb the water of the word, so that it's not being absorbed. It's not just being thrown on bad ground, but you have to go through the grounds of your life and uproot things that are not supposed to be there. And so that's what I'm doing during this 40-day fast. So after that, I was like, well, what is moral? Because as you can see, each definition that I was finding was still using the root word, and I need to understand what it actually meant. So moral, the definition that jumped out to my spirit is conforming to a standard of right behavior. Conforming to a standard of right behavior. Now, when we are followers and we're believers in Christ, who do we follow? Who are we made in the image and likeness of? That is God. So you need to conform to that. And the two scriptures that came to my mind was, be ye not conformed to the standards of the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, proving the perfect and acceptable will of God. And the other scripture that came to my spirit was, we are made in his likeness, in his image. So I was like, okay, now I have to dig deep with this, because I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to do. So that goes about that conflicting. I know what I'm supposed to do, but why do I continue to do the things that I know that I'm not supposed to do? So a question came in my spirit, and it is, what is today's standards that's commonly accepted when it comes to sex, or i.e. sexual immorality? So I just began to write what my spirit began to say, and I'll kind of just do a synopsis of that. So in today's society, sex is a given. Sex is not something to be earned. Oftentimes we confuse sex to equal love. We also may feel like we're not a real woman if we don't bust it and bring it back, or we don't drop it low in a split, or whatever. We are not overly exposing ourselves. Oftentimes the pressures that surrounds, especially women, we feel the need to let a man or men test drive us and our skills and abilities. So we want to show them that we can bust it back. We want to show them that we can cook. We want to show them that we're a ride or die. We want to show them all these things in hopes to earn a ring to go with the, I guess you can say, wife abilities that you already given a person before they even, or a man before they even become your husband. And that deals with a lot. That is a subject that it digs deep. But this is the standard. We rarely see abstinence as something that is happening. Actually, abstinence is usually a taboo, because you will hear people say, oh, you ain't gonna find no man if you're not giving it up, or whatever the case may be, which is farther from the truth. Just because it's commonly accepted doesn't mean that it's true. Okay. So then I began to think about my own life and things that I went through, and even my mindset. So, the enemy has a way of planting seeds young. Because he understands that when you're young, you don't really know how, you may not be equipped to fight those demonic spirits. You just may not know. So for me, sexual immorality has been part of my life since a youth, since a small child. I remember my earliest remembrance of being exposed to sexual immorality is actually seeing my mother have sexual intercourse, oftentimes leaving the room open or unlocked, or even me being in earshot. And so for me, that was the enemy's way of instantly desensitizing me from chastity, because of being chaste, because I didn't know. This is what I was seeing my mother do. I was oftentimes seeing my mom, one vivid, I guess you can say vivid memory I have is waking up in the middle of the night and my mom taking me over to a man's house, and then he put me in his daughter's rooms, and they was, of course, doing their thing. I couldn't sleep, so I heard everything. And then when it was time for us to go, I just remember seeing, my mom's black bra in the back of the car. And I just remember having this feeling of sadness, and I didn't know why. But I have a lot of memories of things of that nature. So that was the first step. And then the second step was I was molested and raped as a child. Excuse me 1 second. Yes, baby. Okay, give me 1 second, okay? This is real life. This is nothing that's going to be edited. So give me 1 second because I need to help my baby. Go ahead. You gotta love your children, man. They're just really, 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 really a gift. You got it, big girl? Okay. So yes, I was exposed to being molested and raped as a child, and I actually didn't realize I hadn't been molested or raped until I was 21. So that's even a story within itself. So for me, that was something that was planted in me because I was told during my molestation and rape that this is what a person does when they love you. So boom, that was it right there. For me, sex equals love. I was dealing with a mother who didn't want me, who rejected me, who didn't really want anything to do with me, who told me that, she wished I would have died, that she hates that the abortion didn't work. She was not an encouraging mom at that point. And so, what's up, baby? You want me to turn on TV?
Huh?
You want me to turn on TV?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to let my daughter come in and say hi. Because this is real life. Say, hey, Grace.
Hey, Grace.
No, you say, look. Come here. Oh, my God. Say, hey.
Hey.
Is there anything you want to tell the people?
Uh-huh.
Did you wipe?
No.
Go wipe that. So, yes. Just watching her get down. Any help? So, yes, I was molested and raped as a child. I didn't know that I was actually molested or raped until I was 21. And for me, when my stepfather told me that this is what happens when someone loves you, it automatically planted the seed of sex equals love. So I had no idea, that sex didn't equal love, because you have to think about it. Give me 1 second. Baby, go ahead and go into the living room. Do you want me to start Beauty and the Beast over again?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. And you say, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You want to come here?
Yes.
Okay, sorry guys, this is like real life. This is not like some old program that you make up as you go along. So yes, I was molested and raped as a child, and I didn't know until I was 21. But during that time, there were some seeds that were planted. So it was I look back at now, and it is just, like, wow, like the enemy really knows how to work and to plant things. So it first started with him when my mom was at work. He would play pornography just throughout the entire house. So if I was going to get something to drink, it was porn on TV. And I didn't understand why he was doing it. I knew I wasn't supposed to watch it, so I always keep my head down. But then one time I saw a woman giving a man oral sex, and I was like, ew, sorry. I was like, ew, what is that? I would never do that. And he was like, oh, you're going to do it one day. Now, mind you, I'm looking back 2020 as a mature adult and understanding how he manipulated me and pretty much cultured me to be able to molest and rape me. So it went from that to, him teaching me how to masturbate. Like, he would tell me to use different fruits, different vegetables and things of that nature to masturbate. Like, so serious while my mom was at work. So then there comes the issue of masturbation. And then from there, when I hit about 14, 15, now before that it was just fondling. But when I hit about 14 and 15, he quote unquote broke up with my mother, moved out of the house, and I used to go over there to visit him because at this time, I literally didn't know nothing is wrong. And some people may say, well, Medina, how you didn't know that was wrong? Well, because you have to look at my early childhood. I was exposed to seeing my mom have sex all the time. So I thought this was normal, to be honest with you, to be sincerely honest with you. And he used to take me over to the house, and he began to have sex with me. So I actually lost my virginity to my stepfather on the floor of his living room. And you know what? I'm a real honest person, and some people don't like the honesty that I have. But recently I was writing it down, and something said to me, well, damn, he didn't even put me on the bed. He raped me on the floor. He molested me on the floor. Like, and I'm not saying to justify, any of that. So going from there, I was able to go move to California with my father. So a lot of you are probably like, where's your real father at? So that's a whole another issue, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit. My father was in the military, and he had no idea what was going on. As a matter of fact, I didn't know that my father was actually my father until I was probably about teenager, because the only way he could see me was my mom told him that if he told me that he was my father, he would never be able to see me again. So I called my father Uncle David for all those years. So I didn't know that that was my father. My father wasn't really in the picture because he was in the military. He was at sea all the time, so he only see me every now and then. But I ran away from home. My mom had a schizophrenia break, told me to sleep outside. I packed up a sleeping bag and ran away. And I was on the run for a few months until they found my dad in the military, and my mom gave her parental rights, and I went over to California. So here I am, the 16-year-old woman, had no idea what really happened to me. I thought sex was a normal part of life. So I didn't have any worth, because I had been told as a little girl that sex is what equals love. So when I was out in California, it was great. It was awesome. Had a wonderful time. Was able to see a life that I wasn't afforded because my mom was very poor. And in California, I really didn't have many sexual partners, but I still did have sexual partners. And we were in relationship. They were just long-term sexual partners. Well, why was I doing this? Because this is what I thought I just thought this is how things operated. Fast forward to college now. So this is 16 to 18, and I moved to college. And once again, I was still sexually active. Now, I've never been a type of woman to have a multitude of sexual partners. If I was involved with somebody, it was that person exclusively. It's just how I operated, because I don't know, I couldn't be on two. I don't know. I just couldn't do that. And I'm not saying to justify that, but I'm just saying. But when I hit 21, I never forget, I was sitting in my room, and I was in the Aggie Village, and I was watching this documentary on molestation and rape. And this girl was on a video and was like, I got molested by my stepfather. And the guy began to talk about incest and all these different things. So I never forget, I was sitting there and I was drinking a soda, and I dropped my soda because I was like, what? I was molested and raped. Now, mind you, all this time I was still in contact with my stepfather. We were still talking on the phone and things. I didn't see him, but we would still be talking on the phone. So I remember bawling. I mean, I remember like all of my youth just coming in front of me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a victim, and didn't even know it. And so I called my stepfather and I said, look, I just watched this documentary and I realized what you did to me, and I want to know why you did this to me. Why would you do that to me? I'm a child. I was, innocent. Why would you purposely do that to me? And his response to me was, well, sometimes you do things for people that you truly love. What? What was that? That just blew my mind. So I dealt with these emotions for a long time, for a year. And actually, when I turned 22, that's when I actually told my family that I had been molested and raped. I told my dad, I told my aunt, and I told my mom. And they were all in shock. And my mom actually came back and said, wow, that really allows me to understand, because I got in trouble as a youth for like writing about sex in my diary and different things that I was doing. My mom said she remembered me doing it. She just thought that I was being a fast girl. So I want to stop right there, because a lot of times we see these women, these girls out here who's just giving it away. We say that we fast, or they don't have no self-love. But honestly, these are girls who have been hurt, and something has been taken from them, and they have all this sexual energy. And the way of controlling it is to give it away, because it is better than having it taken from you. So you have this false sense of, if I give it away, I am empowered. Nobody can take it from me. I am free. I'm a prowess. I'm bad. No, you're just a whore. You know, you're just not loving yourself. And it's honestly what it is. You're just giving yourself away. And I, did this to myself, not realizing exactly what I was doing. Not realizing, emulating the things that I saw in the pornography that I was, exposed to as a young child, or even what I seen my mom do. Like, I was just doing it because that's the only way I could express the sexual energy that I have. Now that I'm fast forward, I'm 27 years old, I have a very much so different insight on things that nature. I'm actually practicing celibacy. I have not had intercourse with anyone else for over a year now. And so some of y'all probably like, well, how did you not have sex and you was married? You only been separated for, so it's a year and a half. So you've only been separated for 7 months. How you haven't had sex for a year and a half? Well, when I was pregnant with my son, Joseph, who I lost in January as a stillborn, I was not engaging in sexual activity with my husband because he was being unfaithful, and I did not want to catch anything. So I did what I needed to do to protect my child, and that's what I stood on. And even as far as me being separated, I, have not had sex with anyone else. Now, let me go ahead and go into this, because sexual immorality is not just limited to having sex with someone else. Sexual immorality also deals with masturbation. It also deals with the spirit of lust. Even if you see somebody and you imagine having sex with that person, that is also sexual immorality. When you begin to have those dreams, or some of us have experienced actually literally someone having sex with you in your sleep, that is a spirit. There are two spirits, incubus and succubus, that represents that actually come and have sex with you. Yes, it is a spirit, okay? And so when you are sitting there masturbating and you're imagining having sex with someone, and it's the form of that person, you're actually imagining a spirit, a demonic spirit, and you're having intercourse with that spirit. Okay, this stuff is real. When you're having sex with multiple people, you are joining as one with that person, their spirit, okay? And whoever else they done dabbled in. So for me, this is an opportunity to be delivered and to be purged from all the sexual immorality, from the pornography, from the masturbation, from even the roots of the spirits of lust. These things have been planted in my life as a child. And while I am chaste in that I have not had sex with another person, I do, have an issue with masturbation. I'm going to be honest with it, because I could really care less, because it's about being honest. This is not a candy-coated type of thing that I'm going to sit here and pretend that I'm perfect. So no. So one of the things that I will be praying for is the deliverance from the fruit of the sexual immorality, which manifests itself in a variety of ways. I have come to recognize that this is something that was planted very early in my life. And so it's been 27 years of growing, and that's okay, because I believe that God is more than able to uproot those things in the next 40 days. So, I know it's a lot. It's probably heavy. People really don't know my background and what I've been through, because a lot of times I just chose not to share it, or I covered it up, or people may say when they met me, Medina was a mean old person. It wasn't that I would want it to be mean. The purpose is that it was a self-protective mechanism. You have to realize that when you are free from being abused emotionally, physically, and sexually as a youth, you don't take nothing from anybody in this world. So when I went off to college, yes, some people may say I was mean. When I went off to high school in California, yes, some people may say I was mean, but that was my defense mechanism, as I cannot take no more hurt of what I've already taken. So do not mess with me. So I put on this, do not mess with me. And I'm still do not mess with me, but I don't use it as a cover up for the pain that I have endured. So I just want to encourage you that if you are a survivor of molestation or rape, and a lot of women and men, okay, keep it to themselves. They do not share, they do not tell anyone that they have been molested or raped because of fear, because of shame, because they don't want to address it. But when you bury that type of stuff deep down within inside you, it leads to you have an outward expression of it in other ways, whether that may be masturbation, whether that may be sleeping with the myriad of people, because literally when you're having sex with a whole bunch of people, you are looking for that good feeling to supersede the pain that you are really dealing with. And women, one of the things I want you to realize is that one of the things I recognized when I lost my son is the fact that I'm a vessel that gives life. I'm not here to be a pleasure for a man. I'm not here to be anybody's, toy, or anybody's, function of stress relief. I'm not here to be your fantasy. I am here because I am ordained to be somebody's wife. Okay. And for sex, it does not equal love. Okay. And love does not equal sex. Let me ask you a question. If you're in a relationship and you're not, and this is for married people too, and this is a question that my uncle asked me. He said, you say you love this person. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I love him. He said, okay, let's say y'all married, and guess what? He becomes a paraplegic. He can no longer perform in the bed. Are you still going to stay with him? Now, I said yeah at that moment because I wanted the right answer, but honestly, the answer was no. I'm sorry. Because I wasn't in love. I was in lust, but I was not in love. So my question to you is, if you are married, or if you're thinking about getting married and you already have, been in the bedroom with that person, if that person was to become a paraplegic, would you still stay with them? Also, for me, it's like sex is a form of intimacy that should be honored between a husband and a wife. We are all worth the wait. Women, we are worth the wait. And I know it's the stigma out here, let's be honest, that we all say this, well, if I don't do it, another woman gonna do it, and I ain't gonna never find no man, boo-hoo, woo-hoo is me. But let me tell you something. If a man cannot wait for you, it ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. And if you can't wait for him, then he ain't worth it. There are more ways to be intimate with the person than sex. Okay? And we don't want to talk about that because it's taboo, because everyone is doing it. But you are just worth so much more. You are worth so much more. Do you understand that your vagina is a vessel of life? That like you are a creator of life? That you are able to literally create life? So why take that vessel that is meant to procreate and create life and let someone just use it for what they please? Women, why do we feel the need to try to prove ourselves that we are worthy to be a wife? We got to show a man we can throw it back. We can show a man that we can cook and clean and do all of these things to try to gain a ring. But it says he who finds a good wife finds favor in the Lord. So you have to be content and know that you are okay the way you are, and you don't have to give yourself away freely to a man because you are bought with a price. You are worthy, okay? And I have come to a point in my life that, like, when you are hurting and you have low self-esteem, you yearn for you to be wanted, even if it's the bad type of wanted. Even if a man, hey, shorty, look at that big booty, you like, oh, chicken head, like, yeah, he liked me, oh yeah, you all excited, and it's like, for what? Why are you excited about a man being attracted to the shape of you and not the condition of your heart? Because a lot of times what happens is a man who comes to you that way is not concerned about the condition of your heart or who you are as a person. He doesn't see you. A guy told me something that was really true and it made me really look at things different. And I'm going to say the edited version. But he used to tell me, vagina doesn't have a face. He said that's how he rolled. And we were friends. We weren't intimate, but we was friends because we were having a conversation on a level that was so deep. And we were talking about, the role of a woman, the role of a man, and how sex has been come to a point to equal love. And he was saying until a man becomes mature, vagina doesn't have have a face. So he's not worried about you or what you or you as an individual. He just worried about when can he get it, when can he hit it, and when can he split it. And then you're left to deal with the emotion, sitting like, oh, I done gave this man all, I done cooked for him, I done paid his bills, I done took care of a child that wasn't mine, I done helped him get on his feet, heck, he lived with me, I do all this stuff, and he don't see the worth of me. Well, you don't even see the worth of yourself, because honestly, you shouldn't be giving the man all of that if he has not committed himself to you 100%. You don't have to earn a man. Let me tell you something, women. We are so worthy that without us, men could not have a lineage. I said it. Let's be honest. So why give that away? And as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself too, because I have to encourage myself in this thing. Because I deal with the past of sexual immorality, it is going to be a struggle for me to be chaste and to be pure, but I have to tell myself, I have to read my word and tell myself that I'm worthy. I have to look in the mirror and tell myself that you are worth the wait. I have to look in the mirror and tell myself that I'm fearfully, wonderfully made, that I'm chosen, that I'm beautiful, that I don't need a man or a woman, and when I say woman, I mean people in general, to affirm who I am and whose I am. So, sexual immorality runs deep. And if you are a survivor, I don't like to say a victim, but if you're a survivor or overcomer of sexual immorality and maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing your story, I'll be more than happy to dialogue with you in my inbox, because I believe talking about it is what delivers from it. It's what makes us whole. We have to, as a unit, realize that we are not at fault for what happened to us. I used to blame myself for the rape and molestation that I endured. Not only was I raped and molested by my stepfather, but there was actually a point that I remember very vividly where my stepfather brought his nephew over, and my stepbrother was there. And while we were standing in front of the window, and he proceeded to masturbate in my underwear. And I didn't know what it was. And I remember so vividly going to the bathroom. I was probably like 8, and wiping this clear stuff from my underwear, not knowing what the hell just happened. And then for my stepbrother to stand there beside me and let that happen, I was just like, what the hell just happened? So I deal with a lot when it comes to that. And I know that God is going to deliver me. I know that God has already made me whole, and I'm walking in that. And I'm hoping that sharing my story, while it also ministers unto me, that it helps that little girl who doesn't want to talk about it. Don't wait. I waited until I was 21 to say something. And my situation was different, because when I did talk to my mom about one of her then boyfriends coming in the bathroom with me, she kicked him out for one day and then brought him back and let him live with us. So for me, what could I do? There was nothing at that time that I felt like I could do. But my thing is, if you are going through it, if you have gone through it, you have to deal with it, because if not, it is going to eat you up inside. So my ashes is all of the sexual immorality that I have been privy to. And while I am not to blame for the things that have happened to me, I do believe that I'm responsible for my outward expression and my healing. So I am chasing after my healing and my deliverance. So one of the things that I have committed to myself is that I will no longer be masturbating. I will not be viewing pornography, and I will put the whole armor of God upon me against the spirit of lust. And these are things that I am dealing with. I'm also going to pray for deliverance to break all the soul ties that I have made with those of whom I have been sexually active with, because I believe that God has a husband for me. And one thing I do not want to do is carry my sexual immorality and the baggage and the things that come with that into my marriage, into my marital bedroom. So I am in a process of purifying myself and making myself whole as a woman. So I do know men who are victims of sexual abuse as well. Yes, men do get raped, and that is something that we do not talk about in our community, and that is something that we definitely need to highlight and to talk about and to advocate. So I thank you for listening and for coming to this blog and being a witness to the healing and the deliverance that I am going to have in my life. I know that it's probably heavy for a lot of people. And a lot of people probably like, wow, we never knew that, Medina went through that, or even you may have your own story. I encourage you to write about your story. I write about my story. I do. It is important for me to write. It is, even in my prayer time, it is important for me to write. So this is the first thing that I'm going to be dealing with when it says lay down your flesh so the spirit can rise. That's what God has said to me. And part of the flesh is sexual immorality, which is found in Galatians 5. And I'm going in with the whole armor of God. I know that this is going to be a fight, but I already know that the battle has already been won. I know that as long as I lay before God on the threshing floor, that he will do the work, and I just have to be in the process of rest so that I may be able to be restored. I believe that God has so much for me. I believe that God wants to bless me and to expound my spiritual womb so that it can formulate itself in the natural. I thank God for each and every one of you, even those who I may have been sexually involved with in the past. Let me apologize. And I'm not apologizing because, I feel like I did something wrong. What I'm apologizing for is in humility, realizing that I may have somehow contributed to your spiritual state. Because as I said, when you have sex with people, you become one with those spirits that is in that person. So I'm apologizing for that part of it. I hope that you can have a heart to forgive me and to know that I forgive myself. And so I forgive you too, because I know that there is nothing that God cannot forgive. I do not believe in the spirit of condemnation, because when you're chasing after God, there is no longer the spirit of condemnation. So if you take the stand today and you say, you know what, I'm deciding to walk in abstinence, then do that, and realize there are going to be people, you're just doing that alone, your whole circle is going to change. Okay, people are going to judge you, people are going to think that you're crazy, people are going to call you old-fashioned, and I could really care less, because at this time, let me tell you something, I'm not having any more children unless it belongs to my husband, my God-given husband, and I am not here for trying to catch anything or any of that. I'm just not here for it. So I just know that my worth goes beyond a temporary pleasure that has so many spiritual implications on my life. So this is my story. This is where I stand. I will probably, as I go through this, because while it is day one, this is a subject that I will probably be hitting on the head over the next, however long God has me to deal with it, until it gets uprooted, until the Lord has say that you are delivered. So I just want to thank you for it. I give God all the glory and honor for where I am in my life, and I pray that if I help just one person, I thank God for it, because I'm at peace with myself. Many blessings to you all. Love you. See you soon.